Hello everyone, my name is Joshua. This is the 106th video on my video journal series. Today's day is Monday, the 25th of May, 2026. How's everyone been? I've been pretty good, thank you. And something I want to discuss with you today is I guess, those times where you've been extremely early to social functions and events, despite the fact that you don't really need to be very early this sort of thing actually happened to me today because I was actually at the pub with a couple of mates, and it was a board game night. We played some board games, card games. I had a pint of Guinness and a few chips. But I was there around an hour early, and obviously I take public transport, so I'm quite used to leaving early because I always anticipate strikes, delays. And especially today, it was raining, so I was like, oh, the train's gonna get cancelled. That's gonna be my worst nightmare. But luckily everything went smoothly. But obviously I have to leave the house early. I have to get an early start towards things because I catch public transport, and I always anticipate those, I guess, disruptions and transfer times and all that. But I guess rocking up an hour early, is a little bit on the extreme side, but it isn't too bad. At least for me, that is. And you know, obviously, I have to leave a little bit early as well because I have to come all the way back home. Record this video journal series. I always anticipate to be back home by around like 10 o'clock ish because it takes me time to record this and upload it to YouTube. And sometimes I think, I'll upload this to YouTube, it's on its way, but then I check my phone and for some reason it hasn't uploaded, or maybe because I power shut off my phone or turn it off before it can like fully start the video uploading process. It sounds really weird, but it happened to me like a few days ago, and I was like, oh man, it's like past the due date. It's early in the morning. I'm like, all right, it kind of sucks, because that's the point of the video journal series, trying to upload an entry every single day. But I've so far recorded an entry every day, and obviously there's going to be disruptions and all that, just like trains, where, who knows, maybe local Wi-Fi gets cut out. In that case, obviously, nothing's preventing me from grabbing my phone and recording. So yeah, I always try to, I guess, like work around these restrictions. None of that's really, I guess, all that too serious. I haven't had any like internet outages in quite a while, but there's always that small risk. But anyway, getting back on track. Another train pun. I guess yeah. Obviously, I commute heavily via public transport, and I always arrive extremely early towards social gatherings and events. But I don't mind it. I don't mind being early, but it does, like, I guess, creep some people out when you're like just sitting by yourself, and like people are like, oh, are you waiting for someone? I'm like, yeah, well, I am, but they're gonna be here in like half an hour. I say half an hour, um, like, and people, I guess, are like surprised that you rock up early, but to me, it's always about I guess, rocking up late. I just don't like being late. But yeah, what else happened today? Oh, not much. We played this card game called Coop, spelled COUP. It was a very fun game. If you don't know what it is, it's basically like um, poker. You know, like how in poker you can bluff, right? It's sort of like that, except you're given like. And by the way, this is not an advertisement for the game, but I highly recommend you check it out. You're basically given like two character cards, and those character cards have roles, or not like roles, but it allows you to, like, I guess, man, it's kind of a little bit hard to explain, Coop, but it's basically you're given two character cards, and your point of the game is basically to collect the most amount of like coins, so then you can like coup other people, and eliminate their character cards, or if you're um, and then sorry, and then you basically eliminate, and you're the last person standing. That's the end goal of the game. Sorry, I did such a poor job explaining it, but essentially, what I meant about the whole, I guess, bluff is that you're given two character cards. let's say you're given an ambassador and a captain, right? Those two different cards have two very different roles, but you can pretend that you have another card. You can pretend you have another role, but if someone calls out on that, I guess, quote unquote, bluff, and they're correct, then you lose one of your character cards, which means you're one step closer towards losing. But if someone calls you out, but you're correct, um, in your actions, like if you got a captain card, you fulfill the captain's duties, but someone accuses you of being an ambassador or something, um, then they like lose a card. So yeah, that's like a very, I guess, simple way of putting it. Sorry, I stuttered a bit because I'm not very good at like explaining like card games and how they work, sort of things. I always have to refer back to the instructions, but I highly recommend you check it out because I guess like the biggest selling point of that game for me is just like how you can like sort of bluff your way through things. You can pretend you have other roles in that game, and theoretically that can like allow you to win. But if someone calls you out when you're bluffing, then it all falls together, sort of thing. So yeah, very fun game. Whenever I'm having like I guess, an outing with friends, and they bring along like card games, it's one of the card games that like, seems to be the most popular with my friends. And yeah, what else? And I quite like card games. Obviously everyone knows how to play Uno. That seems to be another popular one as well. You wouldn't bring something like Monopoly to like a pub or something like that. You wouldn't bring it to like a short gathering, because Monopoly. I don't think I've ever like finished a full game of Monopoly in one sitting. Monopoly is that type of game where you like play with your cousins when they come over, and then they're gonna leave. So you save your Monopoly board and put it like on the table somewhere, and you wait like months for them to come back to like your house, and then you like resume. I don't know if anyone's had that. I think I've done it once or twice, but I always hate it because Monopoly takes so long to complete. And it's not like you can like gather a whole group of friends or family members and play for like 8 hours straight. You're certainly going to do it in sessions, but unless you're like willing to save your Monopoly board and put it on like a table somewhere and wait like months, so then you can get everyone back together. It's looking highly improbable. Um, and that sucks. Because I always have like fun playing Monopoly, and theoretically, like Monopoly can just go on forever, forever. It can go on for a long time. If you just like come to think about it, is there like a mathematical equation or formula, or is there just like what is the theoretically like I guess longest game of Monopoly that could exist? Has someone developed like a formula or equation to calculate that sort of thing? Theoretically, like from my viewpoint, Monopoly could really go on forever. If like I know it's like the last person standing, but if two people just go at it and then they get like perfect quote unquote luck where you know um, they end up like making the right amount of moves so as like continuously, I guess, progress throughout the game and avoid having to pay the other person, or you know they pay person A, but then person A loses money and pays it back to person B because they landed on their like rented properties. Could it really like go on forever and forever? Who knows? I mean, theoretically, like any game could go on forever and forever. Like a game of soccer, for instance. If both teams, I guess if there was like no time limit, obviously, but if both teams couldn't just like score, be very like very 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 low chance, maybe improbable, like 0.0001 sort of thing, maybe like 100 zeros before you get to that one. Sort of chance of happening, but you always got like penalty shootouts and all that, and like ties. But yeah, like come to think about it, if you just erase that I guess time limit, you know, even if you have like a goal, whoever gets to the first, I guess, quote unquote, 10 goals wins. A game could theoretically go on forever. You know, if I guess if it's underneath the right amount of like the right conditions, certain circumstances, and all of that. You know, and I think Monopoly just feels like one of those games, where you just like it goes on forever and forever. And maybe you've had like one full game of Monopoly in your life, but certainly not for me. We always end it short, unfortunately. Um, and yeah, what else? Again, I think much has really happened. I've been keeping up with like railway news a bit, um, specifically with the K sets. The Sydney K set trains. Those are getting like scrapped in numbers, and there's only a few left on the network that run during peak hour. Um, and I know there is like a heritage tour with the K sets coming along. Maybe I'll take like a few pictures, you know. But yeah, it's sad to see the K sets go. Last of the Silver Set series, but I guess that's how you know time functions. Really, things we have to move on from things, and they're getting replaced by newer trains, or not newer trains. They're getting replaced by like the inner city, ex inner city Oscars, because now the Oscars are getting, I guess, implemented into suburban service, and then the Marion trains are replacing the Oscars. If you don't understand, I guess like Sydney trains terminology, that might sound a little bit confusing, but essentially it's like new trains replacing old trains, and then those old trains are replacing older trains. Just like a hierarchy sort of thing. Um, yeah, that's been basically what's happening in Sydney, and yeah, I guess it's nice to be on a bit of a break, but yeah, like whenever you just go out like every single day, there's some days where you just plan to stay home, but then something comes up and then you have to like go outside. It really wears you down, and you can maybe tell by my voice, but I'm a little bit worn. That's why I might end this video journal entry a little bit early today. But I enjoy making these. Now I got a bit more free time on my hands. I can finally like reorganize, not only like my room and clean out my room, because obviously that's like a me thing to do, but also like get around to like reorganizing this channel. I still got to upload some of my videos to the playlist for 2026. I got to add, I guess, descriptions to all the videos, something which I've been missing out on. And then now my phone's like nearing full capacity because how much videos and photos there are on it. So I have to transfer all the media off of my phone onto like my hard drive, my SSD, and that's going to take a long time. Might take me a few days to do that. So yeah, like obviously a lot of things to do. And I guess my wise little quote for today will be, you know, to I guess like rest well, get a minimum of 8-9 hours sleep. The more sleep that you get, the better you'll feel. Because I think sleep is like getting good quality sleep is just something that I feel like we all imagine, cherish, but we in one way or another we can't like adopt the perfect schedule. But like I think it might sound a little bit generic me saying this, but sleep is basically the most one of the like it is. How can I put this? It is you know it's the I guess the key factor that dictates how your day is gonna be. When you're I guess drowsy, it doesn't really get you motivated. You're not motivated to make breakfast, and that has a knock-off effect for the rest of the day. You just feel hungry, tired. Nothing is worse than feeling hungry and tired. Excuse me, at the same time. So yeah, I always recommend sleep, even if you're just a university student and you're working on that like assignment or piece of homework last minute at like 1 o'clock in the morning. Get some sleep, because ultimately you only have one body, right? And it's your job to look after it, and like I said, it might be cool, like to guess to like stay up to like 3 a.m. in the morning. Like I've done that like plenty of times, but it's just unless you are like planning on sleeping until like 11 or 12 o'clock, um, in the like in the morning slash afternoon, um, it'll really like I guess mess up your sleeping schedule and it'll mess up your life and it'll mess up that routine. Um, but yeah, I'm very much like a very sleepy person, and I guess I'll head off before I'm about to like hit the bed. But anyway, I guess I'll catch you all later, and I'll see you all next time. Bye. See you. Take care.